What's going on, everybody? This is super exciting for me. I was present for the first and only Demons and Wizards tour, which is, for those that do not know, Demons and Wizards is Iced Earth and Blind Guardian kind of combined. John Schaefer, the guitarist from Iced Earth, being the Demons, Hansi Kirsch, the lead singer from Blind Guardian, being the Wizard side. And the debut album that was released in 1999 is one of my all-time, favorite metal albums. It has a strong place in my heart, and Touched by the Crimson King is also excellent. And when I got to see them live in New York at the PlayStation Theater, that was the final show of the tour. I got the debut album t-shirt with the tour dates in the back, and as we're watching the show, having the time of my life, right? All of a sudden they do "Iced Earth's I Died for You," and Matthew Barlow comes out on stage after the first verse and chorus with Hansi Kirsch and sings lead on it, and that was an epic moment that kind of took over the metal net in hype. So, with that said, we knew that Demons and Wizards were working on their first album in 15 years, which will be 16 years when it's released next year in 2020. Now, 3 days ago, they released an 8-minute single with the music video called Diabolic. The album art's epic. I have that here with me, and I added WinD Reacts at the bottom and an AE logo. So there it is. Demons and Wizards, Diabolic. And it looks awesome. You got the devil and I'm not sure which angel that would be in armor. Is it Gabriel or something? I don't know that. I'm not into the lore there, but it looks freaking badass off the start. From the start, right off the bat. So with that said, we are going to react to a most triumphant side project that's a historic collaboration of two brilliant minds from two of the absolute most respected, skilled, renowned bands in North American, European metal. North American Iced Earth, Blind Guardian being from Germany, and internationally overall. And we're going to do that using the visualizer from the Razer Streamote, which is the emote display, using as a visualizer right here over my shoulder. So without further ado, let's react to Demons and Wizards, Diabolic. I'm very pumped. So, alright, let's go. Magnifico. Alright, let me... Okay. I believe that exceeded my expectations for what a new Demons and Wizards track would sound like. It had a very heavy, because John Schaefer, Iced Earth, the riffs always are very Iced Earth-ish, but it had that opening feel that reminded me of the debut Demons and Wizards album, along with Iced Earth's off the Horror Show album, the Damien song. It had that similar sort of vibage, I believe, which I picked up right off the bat. It was great. And then John Schaefer doing some backing vocals, which were a little more, he wasn't full on growling, but he was using some distortion in his vocal, natural distortion, that came off pretty epic. But Hansi Kirsch with the vocal layering, The dude usually records like 100 vocal tracks in, during the album A Night at the Opera, for example. He just layered the vocals in an insane way, just flying and floating over each other, which is, something that kind of makes Blind Guardian the Wizards, isn't it? My favorite LP from them being Nightfall in Middle Earth and Tales from the Twilight Hall, excuse me. With Iced Earth, it would probably be Burnt Offerings, Dark Saga, and Something Wicked This Way Comes. And I felt that in Diabolic, from that track alone, it's far more... Okay, it's stripped down more than Touched by the Crimson King. More like the debut Demons and Wizards album. And that's a good thing tonally, in my opinion. The first Demons and Wizards album just reminded me of what it was kind of thematically. And that is this hellish sort of tale of, you have the Crusades, you have like Fiddler on the Green, you have Gallows Pole going into like tracks like My Last Sunrise with lyrics of rotten flesh is burning, everything is burning, this is my last sunrise, and fear, the lamb, the rose, they don't exist. It had just this vibe, opening with a chant as the first track, and then closing with a chant that just felt like it was in a special sort of detail-focused environment from start to finish. I used to listen to that album while playing MMORPGs like EverQuest and Ultima Online and Dark Age of Camelot into World of Warcraft and blah blah blah. And it always just kind of fit that kind of dark D&D or real life with the, like I said, the Crusades, etc. And then when you get Touched by the Crimson King, it's a bit more, I don't want to say whimsical, but since it's based off of, a lot of the works are based off of Stephen King's Dark Tower series. The tracks that are based off of the novel really hit it, and some of the other ones do as well. It's not at all it's, in my opinion, Touched by the Crimson King is still like an A-level album, maybe like A-, but like the areas that it feels like it hits different areas than that kind of sticks out a bit more and doesn't flow as an entire LP in the same way. Although the bonus track of Immigrant Song cover of Led Zeppelin is fantastic. Although, since we're talking about covers, right? The debut album's cover of White Room by Cream still somehow feels like it fits after that last chant. With Immigrant Song, the Zeppelin song itself kind of sounds like something that you'd expect a power metal, prog metal, etc. type of band to make, or that Led Zeppelin had made it at the time. So it was an excellent cover that just kind of fit because of the style. With White Room by Cream, they took that to a bit of a darker place at that. So basically what I'm getting at is, after this tour in Europe and North America, and they decided we're going to return, and we're, after 15 years, and here's the first single, Diabolic. 2020, full album, So from that taste, I get a vibe that I had gotten from the show at the PlayStation Theater. They focused mainly on the debut material. I feel like they're kind of, the lyric lines that in the chorus was about how heaven denies. That was the second track off the debut album, and an amazing track. I was feeling vibes of it throughout the track. So I think it's like they're as a collective, the two of them are kind of like, hey, our roots back then, how we came together, recording in 98 to release this album in 99, had a lot to do with where we were as individual musicians from our different bands during that time, right? So you had Nightfall, Middle Earth, and you had Horror Show being no, that Horror Show was 2001, right? So on the way to making Horror Show for Iced Earth, okay? When Touched by the Crimson King came out, you already had A Night at the Opera out, you already had Horror Show out, and, you know, we were like, me and my friends as fans, and my brothers, I'm sorry, we were like thinking and talking about, with the more grandiose kind of operatic layering from A Night at the Opera by Blind Guardian, and the same kind of more artistic reach and approach from Ice to Earth in Horror Show, where would another Demons Wizards album go? And we saw that with Touched by the Crimson King. I am very happy that this has more of a vibe of the debut rather than Crimson. Not to say that, you know, as it's already stated, that I've any type of dislike for the album. I just prefer the vibe and the start to finish feel from Demons and Wizards debut album. And my hope is, after hearing this just was about 8 minutes long single, Diabolic, is that we'll get something from start to finish that feels with that same sort of vibe that we have here from moment to moment, whether it be the slower parts with that beautiful high kind of falsetto chant that Hansi is known for, to the more triplet kind of heavier parts, and what kind of role John Schaefer will play with some of the, you know, heavier background vocals adding in there. Production of the music's fantastic. It was mixed, engineers, and mastered effing phenomenally. Every instrument is popping out of the mix. The vocals soar. It rumbles. It's metal AF. And I need to go check the release date or slated release date for the album, because if it's like January or February, oof, then I have something to start really looking forward to, be excited about. If it's later in the year, then hopefully we'll get a few more singles that I can react to and start to add on my regular just like loop playlist for 8 hours straight, being like, I must understand the song more, to slowly get me there. Although I think after one single, I'm guilty of myself as an artist, where I have 3 singles out and I want to do 2 more before I release the album. A lot of artists have been doing like single album. So you've heard like, you know, maybe like a third of the album already. And I think in this case I prefer, you know, here's the one single, Diabolic, release the album and then release a single after that. I kind of want to be in for a surprise from start to finish, aside from this one sampling that will become more of a familiarity. So this, even after one listen, this is like a mid-90s plus grade, because you have, you know, okay, I'll give it a 96, okay? First impressions. It may grow with time. I just know that when you put 2 masters together, unless they're, you know, fighting for who gets what and what time and fighting over ideas, which is, it's not how Hansi and John work as a unit together, at least in their own bands. I know there's been difficulties, but together they synergize. They have really good chemistry, and I feel like it was displayed here, and I think that tour rekindled the camaraderie and friendship that they, have, and re-spark the energy to make new material. And I'm glad that I got to see them live in that tour, be part of the fan reaction to display the fact that we, here in America, for example, where they were playing venues like the PlayStation Theater in comparison to Europe, where they were playing large outdoor venues, festivals, that, worldwide, your beloved, the side project is a piece of metal history, and we want you to continue that history and that legacy. And I think they heard us loud and clear, and they're delivering what we want. So this is fantastic. Thank you all for those that tuned in, and I hope you guys will check out more of my music reactions. This is WinD from Accelerated Evolution. You've watched the Dojo of WinD the Windone Zone. I want to thank you for being born. This has been WinD Reacts, Demons and Wizards, Diabolic. Thanks for tuning in. Peace. Stay metal.